we're set? Now, how many of you are really wanting to learn how to buy, fix, and sell? That's the kind of rehab you want to do? Okay, got it. And how many of you right now are looking to wholesale? Okay, and then finally, how many of you want to be buying for long-term hold? Long-term hold. Okay. So one of the things that Lou will be addressing is there are certain things when you're buying for long-term hold that you don't have to do right away. You can actually get right into a building, renovate the first apartment, get your rent coming in right away, and then getting to the second apartment, and et cetera, et cetera. Now, when you're driving through neighborhoods, you want to be looking for sale by owner signs. You want to be looking for rent by owner signs. You also want to be looking for the odd duck on a good block.
All right, guys. I'm going to try to talk as loud as I can, but I got to keep a voice because we got 3 of these to do. Pay attention to the outside of the property. The siding, if you'll notice, got screws in the side of it. If you're going to flip this property, buy it, fix it, and sell it as a retail, you'd probably have to re-side the side of this house. If you're going to buy it, fix it, and hold it, it's something you could leave the way it is. It's not hampering anything. It's in a neighborhood where everything is not 100% perfect. If you're going to do a wholesale deal, the person that buys it, whether he buys or flips it, it's going to make a difference on what he does with that siding. If I was going to buy it and hold it, I wouldn't touch it. I'd leave it the way it is. Maybe 5 years down the road, I'd re-side it or something. If you'll pay attention, if you back up a ways away from the building and look up on the roof, you've got a roof that needs to be a total rip-off. It's going to have to be removed. It's going to have to be re-roofed and plywood down on it. It looks like it's got maybe 2, maybe 3 layers of shingle up there now. You're looking at approximately the size of this building. You'd be looking probably at around $10,000 if you shop around. If you don't shop around and get the first guy that comes, you could pay $20,000 for the same job. So the siding basically is good, just needs some minor touch-up, which is probably going to cost you a couple $1,000s to have that fixed and a few of the spots that need to have attention. I'm looking at the walkways. The walkways are in pretty good shape. You got a couple here that's uneven. You can get a company, they'll come in and jack this up and they'll level it off. The rest of the walkways look good and acceptable. The sidewalks are in good shape. The driveway pavement is not in bad condition. You could do a cleanup and seal the cracks and you'd be good on this pavement. That when we do porches, we don't necessarily always go exactly what the code calls for. Sometimes we go over and above the code. So if I was going to do this with my contractor, I would want a 6x6 support across this porch, not 4x4. 4x4 is probably according to code, but it's just, to me, it's too small. I like a 6x6 there, but that's a matter of preference. Your contractor is going to tell you. Some contractors are going to go with a 4x4. Other contractors are going to say, no, let's do a 6x6. And you're only talking, you're probably talking another $100 more for 6x6 versus 4x4. Now, I'm looking at the grade on this property, and grade's very important because when you got a negative grade, meaning sloping towards the building, then you got water problems. This property has got the advantage of having all the property sloped to the back, so you don't have any big issues with water damage coming from the outside of the building around the foundation. The grade is all graded away. Over here in the back, it's got good gravel, so any water coming through the deck down here is going to filter out, and it's really in good. It's a good area, and it's the slope of the property is great on this property. You can see the basement floor looks relatively dry. The walls have all been stuccoed or kind of skim coated with a cement, which is really a nice job. You don't see this very often in a basement. Ceilings been, the walls have been partially drywalled. The ceiling's all 2x6 constructed with about a 10x10 carrying beam, which is in excellent condition. Beam's nice and straight. I don't see any moisture or water problems. All right, you got a lot of wires hanging here. Like I say, most of those are cable. Looks like somebody did some work, did some insulation here. If you'll notice, some of the basement windows are broken. Some of the glass on the outside, they got double windows here. You can replace those windows for around $300 a piece if you buy a new one. But you can just do glass, you know, wherever they're broken, and that would do the job here. Concrete, again, the floors are nice and dry, really clean. Come on in, guys. Just walk through. I was just pointing out this is a stone, half brick foundation. And you can actually see it here. On the other side you couldn't because they stuccoed the whole foundation and did a beautiful job on the other side. And there's no major leaks or anything coming through, and the grout on the brick is all in good shape. The grout and the stone's all in good shape. Concrete floor is in good shape. Okay, this is the basement. When you're looking at multifamilies, older buildings, this, remember, was built in 1860. It's got all rough sod framing. Wow. If you look, the framing is not planed. It's just rough sod. So you got a much stronger 2x8 here than you would have if it's today's 2x8. A 2x8 back then was a full 2-inch and a full 8-inch. Today, a 2x8 is 1 5/8 by about 7 1/4 because they're planed down. Now, if you look at the plumbing here, this is cast iron. It's Schedule 40. That means the thickness of it's really heavy. Back then, they used to use really heavy pipe. And you're going to notice there's a combination of plastic, copper, and cast iron here. The plastic being the new version of what goes on, so that means that the toilet drain has been replaced with plastic all the way up to the toilet. And they did have some water leaks here. You can notice that some of the repairs were done. This is a trap. This is pre-existing. This is all cast iron. Some of it's been cut. Some of it's been changed. But you're going to find this on every single building that you go in. You're going to find a combination of piping, unless it was a gut job rehab where they took everything out and put everything new. But when you run into a multi-unit that's been owned and has been built for a long time and it's been occupied right along, most of it's going to have a combination of plastic, cast iron, copper, lead, brass. It's going to be all different kinds of plumbing. All right, now if you look, knob and tubing wiring, right here. If you'll come over here, when we talk knob and tubing, there's a knob. Okay, everybody can come by. Just walk by, look at it, and walk around. That's a knob, and that's what they call knob and tubing. Now, tubing will be where the wire goes through a rafter. It'll be a tube like this piece right here, where I'm pointing my flashlight. That's the tube. That's the knob. To rewire a building like this completely, you'd probably be talking between $8,000 and $12,000. All right? But most of the time, they don't rewire the whole building. They'll do what's accessible, and that's about it. You know, it's next to impossible unless you do a gut job rehab. These are gas-fired hot water heaters, and you can see there's a gas pipe. There's a shut-off there. There's the gas control, and this is the pressure relief valve. This unit's been winterized. They've drained, and you can see that they've put down that it's been winterized. The petcock's open, the pressure relief valve is open, so these units have been winterized and they're probably going to be good for the new owner coming in. They should be all right unless they've frozen prior to them winterizing it. If this property was vacant last winter, and according to this, it's 9/19 of 2012. August 19, they winterized this, so chances are most of the plumbing in here will be good because they winterized the whole property. The pipes have got to go uphill from the unit. And these are both in code. They're both going uphill. Now, if this pipe was straight or going down, you'd be in a code violation. You got a pressure relief valve. The tube for the pressure relief valve's got to come at least 8 inches from the floor. And this one is 2 inches from the floor, which is all right. You could cut them back, but they're both good. And this is a requirement on a water heater. You know, wires like this that are hanging, this is against the code. You see this? All right? So you have your electrician come in and walk through and address the system and make sure that everything is operating and done properly. All right, because that's going to reflect on your insurance people when they come in. This is a gas-fired boiler. It's got a Taco circulator pump, which is great because when the burner starts, as soon as the burner it calls for heat, the thermostat, the burner starts and it starts circulating water through the entire system of the baseboard heat or the radiators. If you don't have a circulator pump, it's gravity fed and it takes forever to get the heat up to the first and second floor. So most of your new units will always have a circulator pump. They're Taco. To replace those, if you have a plumber come in, it probably costs you about $250. If you do it yourself, it costs you about $100 bucks. The pump's about $80.
Is it for each one?
Each furnace has a circulator pump. You got purging valves here. The system was installed properly. What you do is you turn this little valve sideways and you open this up and the automatic water feed, which is, I don't see it right now. I'm sure there's one because the unit's pretty new. It allows the air to come out of the system. So this is where you would bleed air out of your baseboard system, all right? This boiler's probably 10, 12 years old. It's a Utica. It's a good company. They're manufactured in Utica, New York. They're good furnaces. This is probably about 100,000 BTU unit. You got another one over there. And I would think that they probably have drained the whole system out. These are the gas meters. They're still here. One is locked out and one is on. This one hasn't, no, it's off, but it hasn't been locked out by the gas company. Lockout, they put a pin through here. And they're the only ones that have a key that'll remove that pin. So you can't automatically bypass the meter. And the other one on the left is not locked out. But both gas meters are still here. Electrical, you've got a 100 amp main electrical service coming in here. Most of the time they'll require a 200 amp, but this is 100 amp. It's adequate for a two-family property. Gas, they will run the pipe all the way into the building and provide the service on the meter bars and the meters. Everything from the gas meter into the building is the owner's responsibility. Anything from the meter out to the street is the gas company's responsibility. Come on in, guys. Get all in here. As you can see, there's been some vandalism done in here. You see some drywall busted here and there. That's a minor problem. I want to cover any ceiling, so I'm not going to talk about ceilings in the rest of the house. I may make a couple notations of it. But the ceilings, to do a drywall ceiling the size of this kitchen, averages to re-drywall, and I don't have my contractors remove the existing drywall unless about 90% of it's on the floor already. We drywall right on top of existing drywall ceilings or plaster ceilings. To do that runs about $500, including material and labor. That would include putting the drywall up, 3 coats of tape, and priming the ceiling.
So you just leave the ceiling as
We leave everything existing. We go over the top. They remove the light fixture. Your electrical contractor will remove your light fixture and replace it after they're done.
And you're giving us prices that's standard, not...
I'm giving you a price that's usually pretty much standard. Again, your prices are going to change according to your ability to negotiate with your contractors. You might have a contractor come in here and want $1,200 to do the ceiling. Right. It's up to you to find that contractor that's going to do a good quality job for you at a reasonable price. All right? And I don't mean nickel and diamond to death, but when you got contractors, 3 contractors come in and said they'll do this between $400 and $600, and then you got 2 to come in and want $1,000, $1,200, then it's pretty much simple who you're going to use. So it's up to you to make that determination. So prices I give you are average prices, and it's going to vary according to your ability to find the right contractors to do it for you at a reasonable price. Very minimal cabinets in this kitchen. You're probably looking at about $1,200 worth of cabinets in this kitchen, including countertops if you know where to shop. These are the type of cabinets that I use. I use all natural oak cabinets in all our units. These cabinets probably run you between $1,200 and $1,400 with the countertops, and I'm not using, there's no labor here. This is not installed. This is just the price of the cabinets. You should be able to get these cabinets installed for about $1,500, including getting your plumber to do the plumbing. And that's going to vary depending on the size of the cabinet, depending on the layout of your kitchen. I'm talking rental units now. I'm not talking, your houses that you're going to buy, a single-family house and rehab. I mean, you could be talking a $2,500 kitchen to a $25,000 kitchen, depending on what what kind of house you're doing. If you're doing a house in New Britain in a marginal area, you're going to spend maybe $4,000 on a kitchen to rehab to sell a single family. But if you're talking a house down in West Hartford, that's going to sell for $800,000, you're not going to put in a $5,000 kitchen. It's going to be a $20,000 kitchen. I'm going to tell you from what I observe here, maybe the reason this property is vacant is because the owners modified and repaired this unit. You got ceramic tile floors in a rental unit in this neighborhood is not called for. You could get away with a $500 linoleum. This could be a $2,500 job to do this tile floor, including the tile, the underlayment that they had to put underneath it, the installation. way overdone for this neighborhood. So everything is relevant. Depends on the type of tenants, the quality of tenants, the neighborhood you're in. You got to learn to be able to judge that a linoleum floor in this neighborhood is as good as a ceramic tile floor. And it's going to cost you, 25% of the cost of this floor. If you look at all the trim, they actually ripped out all the trim, put all new windows, all new trim in, way overdone. They did all new doors. It's just very hard to get that money back in this type of neighborhood. You don't need to have that. You could leave your painted trim and just paint and fix up your walls and plaster. And looks like they probably did a new drywall ceiling here too. Hardwood floors, oak, nice condition. If you're going to do a rental here, what I would suggest is you clean up the outside perimeter, the first 24 inches around. You put a coat of clear, put a nice 9x12 area rug on top. You don't even varnish the center. This is the type of neighborhood you're in here. Okay.
Should there be outlets over here on this wall?
If you can reach the room with a 6-foot cord anywheres, you don't need an outlet. So you can go from here 6 feet, go from there 6 feet, there 6 feet. You don't need an outlet. So if there's a plug over there, okay, then you're good.
Okay.
Yeah, because you can go from there to there, it's 6 feet, there to there, it's 6 feet.
Okay.
This is a very small room.